Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that an AI made a decision that changed your life. Not because someone told it to, not because a programmer wrote a specific instruction, but because it determined on its own that it was the best possible thing to do. That sounds like science fiction, but the line between science fiction and reality is becoming thinner every day. For the most part of our lives, artificial intelligence has felt like something we use when we need help, whether it's answering a question, finding information, or solving a problem. But recently, I started noticing something different. AI is no longer just responding to us. It is beginning to act on its own. And that raises a fascinating question. What happens when the technology we created stops waiting for instructions and starts making decisions for itself? Today, I want to explore that shift with you guys that is already happening around us. A shift from AI as a tool to AI as an agent. A shift that could transform how we learn, work, create, and make decisions in our everyday lives. So, let me start with something simple. Think about your morning routine. You wake up, and even before you fully open your eyes, you've already made a series of decisions. You check your phone, you scroll, you respond, you plan your day out, you decide what matters and what doesn't. And you probably don't even notice most of these decisions happening. They become automatic. Now imagine something else starts doing that for you. Not just suggesting, not just reminding, but deciding. Deciding what you should do, even before you ask. That idea feels distant, almost fictional perhaps, but it isn't. We're living through a moment where artificial intelligence is beginning to shift from something that primarily responds to us to systems that could take actions with increasing levels of autonomy. And this shift is not only happening in the future, it is beginning to happen right now. In real systems, in real products, in real decisions that may influence our daily lives. As a student growing up in this moment, I know that whatever future AI creates for us, my generation will be the first to live with it every day. For the most part of human history, technology played a very simple role. It waited, we typed. It responded, we asked. It answered, we clicked. It obeyed. That was the contract. Clear, predictable, and safe. But that contract is now changing, and most people haven't fully felt it yet. We're moving from tools that respond to systems that can act. This shift has a name. It's called agentic AI. And this isn't just another upgrade in technology. This represents a significant change in how we interact with machines, because we're beginning to build systems that could pursue goals within objectives defined by humans. Let that sink in for a second. Not just answers anymore, goals. That is a very different way of thinking about AI, because answers are often reactive, but goals, on the other hand, require direction, persistence, and behavior over time. Traditional AI waits for input. Agentic AI asks something very different. What needs to happen next? And that one question changes everything. Because now, AI is no longer limited to the moment of our request. It can continue working towards a task even after you stop interacting with it. It plans, it adapts, it acts, it reflects, and it repeats this process. This creates what is often called an agent loop. And while it sounds very technical, the idea is actually very human. Observe, decide, act, and reflect. Then do it again. Not once, not twice, but an ongoing cycle. Which means that AI is no longer something we simply use. It has the potential to participate more actively in daily decisions, often operating in the background. Now, this is where it becomes more personal for me, because I think about what that means for someone like me, a student. Right now, studying feels like a constant internal negotiation. What should I study first? Am I focusing on the right thing? How do I manage my time? And why does it always feel like I'm falling behind? Sometimes the hardest part isn't finding answers. It's knowing what questions to ask. Now imagine an agentic AI system in the exact same world. It doesn't answer a question like, what is photosynthesis? It watches patterns. It notices that you consistently miss the same type of algebra problem. It recognizes that your focus drops after a certain time of day. It builds a study plan tailored specifically to you. Not a general guide, not a template, but a living system that changes as you change. It adjusts based on your performance. It can remind you at times when the data suggests you are most likely to benefit from a reminder. It shifts strategy whenever something stops working. It can adapt its recommendations based on patterns in our behavior. And slowly, something starts to change. It stops feeling like a tool and starts feeling like something that is thinking with you. That sounds powerful, and in many ways, it is. But it also introduces something unfamiliar. Because for the first time, we're not just using technology to complete tasks faster. We are using it to participate in our daily decision-making process. And that shift is not limited to education alone. In healthcare, agentic AI can help analyze patient data and flag potential concerns that can be reviewed by healthcare professionals later. In transportation, it can help optimize travel systems and potentially reduce congestion. In business, AI agents can help manage workflows by assigning tasks, tracking progress, and adjusting timelines automatically. And in software engineering, AI is already being used to help out with code, writing, debugging, and testing it, of course. We're not talking about theory anymore. We are talking about technologies that already exist in early forms today. But there's a turning point. The more capable that these systems become, the more important human oversight becomes. Because if AI can act, then we must decide what actions are acceptable. We must define boundaries. We must define control. We must define responsibility. And none of those are purely technical questions. They're human questions. Questions about trust, power, and accountability. And right now, there are more questions than answers. One of the biggest risks in this transition is something that sounds simple, but can be deeply concerning: overdependence. Because the more decisions AI makes for us, the less we may be practicing making decisions ourselves. And over time, something subtle can begin to happen. We may stop engaging with uncertainty. We may stop sitting with difficult problems long enough to struggle through them. We may start accepting answers instead of building understanding. And thinking, real thinking, is not just about reaching conclusions. It's about wrestling with confusion. It's about trial and error. It is about building mental resilience through effort. And if we outsource too much of that process, we risk weakening those skills over time. Another challenge is bias. AI systems learn from data, and that data is created by humans, which means historical patterns, limitations, and inaccuracies can sometimes be reflected in these systems. And when AI becomes more agentic, when it acts repeatedly and consistently, those issues can become amplified if they're not carefully monitored and corrected. That's why oversight matters so much, not as a feature, but as a requirement. Because technology reflects the goals, assumptions, and decisions of the people and organizations that create and deploy it. And every major technological shift in history has forced humanity to redefine itself. Electricity changed how we live. The internet changed how we communicate. Smartphones, they changed how we pay attention. And now, agentic AI may change how decisions themselves are made. But there's something different about this moment. We're no longer just building tools. We're building systems that can pursue goals. And that changes the relationship between human intention and machine action. So the question is no longer, what can AI do? The question becomes, what should AI do? And even more importantly, what should AI never be allowed to do? Because the future of artificial intelligence is not shaped by engineers alone. It will be shaped by educators, policymakers, students, users, culture, and by everyday choices about what we accept and what we reject. So I want to end it with something personal. I think a lot about the future I'm growing up into. A future where AI is not just something I open when I need help, but something that may be present in my background of my life. Helping, suggesting, and sometimes even deciding for me. And I don't think the future is about choosing humans and AI. That's not the real issue here. The real question is whether we remain intentional. AI capabilities are beginning to advance rapidly, and many experts expect these systems to become more integrated into our daily lives. So the variable left is now us. Will we become more thoughtful as these systems become more autonomous? Will we be more aware as these systems become more automatic? Will we be directing the journey? Or simply just trying to keep up with it? Because the future isn't humans versus AI. It is humans and AI working together, building together, deciding together. But only if we remember something simple, something easy to forget. Just because a system can act on its own, that does not mean we should stop thinking for ourselves. Thank you.